Hi everyone, it's Lisa Brown with InkandInspirations.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. And in this video, I wanted to show you a simply stamped card using just stamps, ink, and paper with this beautiful artistically inked stamp set and a piece from the coordinating designer paper, which is Expressions in Ink. It's absolutely gorgeous. But then, toward the end of the video, if you'll stick around, I'm going to step it up a bit and show you how you can add a little bit more just by adding a few elements to the card. So let's get started. First of all, I'm starting off with a card base of 5.5 by 8.5. This is polished pink, one of our new in colors. And so when you cut the cardstock in half, okay, and the 11-inch side at 5.5, you get this piece, which is the size of a standard size card. So when you fold this type in half, you really don't have to put a score line because you're folding with the way the fibers in the paper are made. I don't really know how else to explain that, but if you do it the opposite way, it would crack right here without a score line. But when you fold them in half at the 5.5 by 8.5 and the 4.25 inch mark, you'll get a beautifully card base that's ready to go. Okay, so now I know I want to use some designer paper, so I cut this piece 2 by 5.25. So this is 5.5. So I cut it a 1/4 inch smaller, okay? And it can sit just like that on the front. And then for my stamped image, I decided to use this thanks sentiment plus these 2 flowers and these 2 leaves, okay, stamps. And so what I've done here is I've stamped in pale papaya because that's one of the colors in my designer paper, and the leaves are in pear pizzazz. And then I chose the background for the sentiment. That ink color, same as the base, is polished pink, okay? And so this piece, I knew I wanted to start with one about that size so that I could add some additional layers. And this basic white piece is 2 by 3.5, okay? Now, you could add that like that, and that would be a pretty card. But if you wanted to add a little more color and layering, you could add some more designer paper. So, I mean, cardstock, I should say, or designer paper. Now, I chose Magenta Madness, which is also in the paper, and this is cut at 2.25 by 3.75. 2.25 by 3.75, and that can label behind that. Okay, layer it, and there you go. So you could leave it like that, but I decided to go a step further and cut another layer in pale papaya at 2.5 by 4. And so now we have this, and then we could glue all of this down and have a beautiful card, okay? Either with the 1 layer, 2 layers, or 3 layers behind the main image. So this could be a completed card that anyone would love to receive. But let's add a little bit more, okay? So behind this, before we ever start putting our layers, I thought I'd try another piece of the polished pink in 4 by 5.25, and then I embossed it with one of our 3D embossing folders, and I'm going to layer that just like that. Now watch. This is going to sit on top of that, and this here, and there you have some texture, okay? So that's one element you could add. Now let's try something else. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this piece, designer paper, to the textured piece, and I'll have all the information and product listing on my blog if you want to know what I used. Again, this is 2 by 5.25, and this is also 5.25 inches wide there. So that's going side to side. You see how pretty that is? Okay. Now let's go ahead and layer all of these pieces. Let's put the sentiment and main image stamped piece in basic white. on top of the Magenta Madness. And then we're going to layer that on top of the Pale Papaya. So you see how you can easily add elements using just more paper cardstock in different colors. And I know I get questions a lot of times about how do you know which colors to use. I always lean on the Stampin' Up! Concept artists and the colors they use in their designer paper. And that's how I decide many, many times what colors to use. Okay, so that can go there. Now, I want to add some ribbon. So let me see. I'm going to get some polished pink ribbon. No, let me try Pale Papaya. Yeah, I think I like that. So before I ever adhere this down, and before I put this layer on the card front, I'm going to tie this around, and it acts as such as a border piece maybe between the designer paper and the cardstock beneath. And I am just going to tie it in a simple knot. Notice I'm getting it here toward the edge of the cardstock piece and designer paper piece because I want to be able to have plenty of room to adhere my sentiment, my main image on the front. So here's another way. Add ribbon just to step it up. And I'm tying a simple knot here on the edge. And then I can go and trim. Okay, just like that. So now I can adhere this on the front here. Okay, so let me go ahead and put some liquid glue behind it. And I'm centering that side to side. You can see my ribbon is not going to get in the way. And there we go. Okay, now we can put that on our card front. And look at that. By just adding a little bit of ribbon and some additional layers, we've really stepped up our card. And I might say too, with this emboss layer here that you can see where I'm putting the adhesive, you could just cut an additional piece of cardstock and put there to add another layer. And it really adds to the look of the card. Okay, just adding another piece of cardstock layer on top of the card base, even in the same color, really adds a nice touch. So now that is beautiful, as you can see, and we can add a little bit more with some of our in-color jewels. And so I'm going to use some of these Pale Papaya, taking my take your pick tool and going to adhere these here. And then I'm going to put a third one over here. And there we have a finished card. So do you see, just adding one element more can step it up. And actually, if you wanted to leave off the ribbon and the rhinestones and just do the stamp piece, it would be a beautiful card as well. So if you have any questions about the process, please let me know if I can help you with anything, and visit my website at inkinspirations.com, where you're going to see the details about this card with all the measurements and the products that I used. And if I can help you with anything, please let me know. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.